In recent years, the global oil market has been impacted significantly by COVID-19 disruptions, price wars between oil-producing nations and now the Russia-Ukraine war. The output control deal made between the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, and 11 of the world's top oil producers expired in 2020. With production increasing dramatically in April of that year following Russia's decision not to approve further cuts proposed by Saudi Arabia, the de facto OPEC leader responded by offering its product at discounted prices and producing more oil. In an oversupplied market suffering from a lack of demand, oil prices turned negative, shocking market participants. Finally, with some pressure from the US, Russia and OPEC finally came to an agreement to cut production by 9.7 million barrels per day, BPD, the single largest output decrease in history. In 2021, oil demand returned as COVID-19 lockdowns eased worldwide, pushing prices higher. Now into 2022, Russia's aggressive war against Ukraine has sent oil prices skyrocketing. So let's get into the top 10 oil-producing countries of 2022. And remember to like, share and subscribe for more future contents. Number 1. United States. Number 1 on this list of the top 10 oil-producing countries is the US. Its output increased by 266,000 barrels of oil per day from its 2020 level to reach 18,875,000 barrels of oil per day last year. The US has been described as a swing producer because its production fluctuates alongside market prices. Texas leads the way as the biggest oil-producing state in the nation, with output nearly 4 times as high as the second biggest oil-producing state, New Mexico. In addition to being a major oil producer, the US is a big consumer of oil. Last year, the US consumed a total of 7.22 billion barrels of petroleum products. That's an average of about 19.78 million barrels of oil per day. Number 2. Saudi Arabia. In 2021, Saudi Arabia's oil output was 10,835,000 barrels of oil per day. The country holds 17% of the world's proven petroleum reserves and is the world's largest petroleum exporter. Its oil and gas sector accounts for around 50% of its GDP and approximately 85% of its export profits. As previously stated, Saudi Arabia played a crucial role in OPEC's decision to reduce oil supply in 2020. To meet the terms of an agreement agreed with other OPEC members and allies, the country chose to restrict output by 3.3 million barrels of oil per day. In 2022, the country's relations with the United States have deteriorated to the point where the Arab Kingdom appears unlikely to raise output in order to reduce growing gasoline prices. Number 3. Russia. Prior to the 2020 production cuts, Russian oil output had been steadily increasing for several years, reaching 10,778,000 barrels of oil per day last year. The majority of Russia's reserves lie in West Siberia, between the Ural Mountains and the Central Siberian Plateau, as well as in the Urals-Volga region, which stretches all the way to the Caspian Sea. Russia, the world's third largest oil producer, contributes for 10% of worldwide output. According to CNN, in response to Russia's war in Ukraine, Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Australia have banned imports of Russian oil, accounting for around 13% of Russia's exports. In March 2022, the International Energy Agency (IEA) warned that Russia could be forced to cut 30% of its crude oil production, resulting in a serious global oil supply crisis. The implications of a potential loss of Russian oil exports to global markets cannot be understated, the IEA stated. Number 4. Canada. Next on this list of the top 10 oil-producing countries is Canada. The country's yearly oil production increased to 5,558,000 barrels of oil per day in 2021, up from 5,235,000 barrels of oil per day in 2020. Alberta contains nearly all of Canada's proven oil reserves, with 97% of those reserves being oil sands, according to the province's government. The great bulk of Canada's total energy exports are to the United States. However, due to economic and political factors, Canada is working to diversify its trading partners, particularly by growing connections with Asian rising nations. Pipelines have sparked a national discussion in Canada. The federal government paid $4.5 billion for the Kinder Morgan, NYSE, KMI, Trans Mountain Pipeline in 2018 to ensure Canadian crude reaches market ports. An expansion was anticipated to cost another $7.4 billion at the time, after which the government would sell the project to the private sector. A new cost estimate for the project increased the $7.4 billion number to $12.6 billion in February 2020. That figure was modified again in February 2022, nearly tripling to $21.4 billion. Number 5. China. In 2021, China's annual oil output was 4,993,000 barrels of oil per day. The country is the world's second largest user of oil, having risen from the second greatest net importer to the largest in 2014. China is the world's most populated country and has a rapidly rising economy, all of which have contributed to the country's high overall energy demand. In reality, the Asian country is the largest consumer of oil, with OPEC member countries accounting for 55% of its imports. According to Reuters, throughout the first few months of 2022, China's crude oil refineries reduced output owing to COVID-19 lockdowns, as the virus continues to test the government's zero-COVID plan. Number 6. Iraq. Despite growing output, Iraq lost its status as the sixth largest oil-producing country in 2017. In 2018, output helped the country reclaim sixth place. The Middle Eastern country's oil output has dropped dramatically in recent years, from 4,788,000 barrels of oil per day in 2019 to 4,149,000 barrels of oil per day in 2021. With 145 billion barrels of proved oil reserves, it ranks fifth in the world, accounting for 8.4% of worldwide reserves. Number 7. United Arab Emirates. The UAE is an OPEC member and has consistently placed among the top 10 oil-producing countries in the world. It saw a minor year-on-year gain in production in 2021, with oil output increasing to 3,786,000 barrels of oil per day. With 98 billion barrels of proven oil reserves, the country ranks 7th in the world, with the majority of those reserves located in Abu Dhabi. The United Arab Emirates holds 5.6% of the world's total reserves. Number 8. Brazil. Brazil's oil production declined marginally from 3,769,000 barrels per day in 2020 to 3,689,000 barrels per day in 2021. Total primary energy consumption in Brazil has nearly doubled in the last decade as a result of sustained economic expansion, according to the AIA. Oil and other liquid fuels account for the majority of Brazil's overall energy consumption, followed by hydroelectricity and natural gas. According to Reuters, Brazil is in talks with the US to raise its oil production in reaction to Russia's war in Ukraine. Number 9. Iran. Iran's oil production grew considerably last year, rising from 2,990,000 barrels per day in 2020 to 3,458,000 barrels per day in 2021. Iran has the world's third greatest proven oil reserves and the world's second largest natural gas reserves, according to the AIA. Despite its enormous reserves, Iran's oil output has declined significantly in recent years, with the country producing 4,779,000 barrels of oil per day in 2017. Iranian energy production has been hampered by US sanctions and regional tensions. China recently struck a 25-year trade and security agreement with Iran and has urged the United States to lift sanctions. Number 10. Kuwait. Last on this list of the top 10 oil-producing countries is Kuwait, whose output decreased in 2021 for the third time since 2018. In 2016, production reached 3,072,000 barrels of oil per day, then dropped to 3,025,000 barrels of oil per day in 2017. In 2018, the country made a slight recovery, producing 3,059,000 barrels of oil per day. Production fell again in 2019 to 3,017,000 barrels of oil per day. Kuwait's oil and gas sector accounts for about 60% of the country's GDP, and an even larger share of its export revenues at around 95%.